My dad was so obsessed with being the perfect stepdad to my stepsisters that he left me at a mall in another state. But now, he's about to reap what he sowed. I have a dilemma, and it's caused me a lot of trauma, so I need advice. I'd like to hear your opinions and perspectives. I'm 15 years old, and I've been living with my dad for the past 3 years. Unfortunately, my mom filed for divorce 3.5 years ago, and I never got an explanation as to why she decided to end our family. The only condition my dad had was that he would have full custody of me, which my mom surprisingly agreed to. I don't hold any resentment toward my mom, even though I haven't seen her in over 3 years. We talk occasionally, but it's not the typical mother-daughter relationship. However, my dad always has something negative to say about her. He's constantly criticizing her. Not long after the divorce, my dad found someone else. You know how it goes after a big relationship ends. He and Lena dated for a few months and then got married the following month. No one understood why my dad was in such a rush to get married, especially after ending a long-term marriage. He said he had fallen in love with Lena at first sight and admired the kind of mother she was to her daughters, Joan and Jenny. I know I'm the last person to judge since I'm not a mother and just a teenager, but honestly, Lena wasn't exactly Mother of the Year. She barely spent time with her daughters and spent most weekends shopping for herself. She made it clear to me that she didn't expect to be a maternal figure in my life, and I was 100% okay with that. What I wasn't okay with was how my dad changed. We used to be really close and did everything together, but now he spends all his time and money on my stepsisters. He barely has time for me, always making excuses about how Joan and Jenny grew up without a father and that he was trying to fill that void. My dad has been neglecting me, and honestly, it's been heartbreaking because I don't have anyone to talk to or turn to. I used to have a close relationship with my grandma, Alina, but after my dad married Lena, everything changed. I haven't seen or heard from her since. We're friends on Facebook, but we barely talk. My 16th birthday was coming up, and I wasn't excited. I was busy with homework when my dad came to tell me dinner was ready. I told him I wasn't hungry because I knew Lena had probably cooked meat, even though she knows I'm vegetarian. She never tried to accommodate my needs, so I usually made my own meals, which I didn't mind. My dad then told me that Lena had spent the whole afternoon cooking dinner and that he'd appreciate it if I showed some gratitude. This led to an argument because I had to remind him that I'm vegetarian. He said I was just being difficult and that being vegetarian was just a phase. I pointed out how neglectful he's been toward me and that I've been vegetarian for the past 5 years, something Lena is well aware of. I asked my dad to leave, and he responded by saying I was difficult just like my mom. Those words hurt, and my dad noticed how much they affected me. He tried to apologize, but I told him I didn't want his apology. He finally left me alone, and I went back to my homework. In the days that followed, I noticed my dad was trying to make up for what he said. He was more attentive and tried to spend more time with me, which I appreciated. I rarely got his attention, so I took advantage of it. It was my birthday week, and I was surprised to find my dad waiting for me outside school. He said he was taking me out for ice cream. The little girl inside me screamed with joy because this used to be one of our old traditions. He took me to our favorite spot, and we ordered our favorite ice creams. While we were eating, we started reminiscing about the good old days. Then, my dad surprised me with a weekend trip. He said we were going to Seattle for my birthday. I was so excited because Seattle is one of my favorite cities. He assured me that everything was planned and that it would just be the two of us, which made me even happier. I couldn't wait. I couldn't remember the last time I'd taken a trip with just my dad. It felt unreal. The week flew by, and finally, it was Friday, the day before my birthday. My dad called my school to let them know I wouldn't be attending. As I was getting ready, I noticed my stepsisters were also packing. Once I was done, my dad came into my room to take my suitcase, and that's when he dropped the bombshell. My heart shattered into a million pieces. My dad told me that our bonding trip was now a family trip. He explained that my stepmom wanted us all to celebrate my 16th birthday together, since it was such a big milestone. I asked if we could celebrate as a family after he and I had our trip, but he said everyone was already packed and ready to go, and it wouldn't be fair to ask them to stay behind. So, we all went to Seattle. I was upset the entire trip. My dad tried to make small talk, but I ignored him and pretended to be listening to music with my headphones on. I couldn't help but overhear my stepsisters talking about how jealous all their friends would be that they were in Seattle for the weekend. When we got to our Airbnb and settled in, I was checking my phone when my dad came into my room and said we were going out for burgers for dinner. I immediately lost my appetite because my dad and I had previously talked about trying some popular vegetarian restaurants in Seattle. I started complaining, and he told me to stop acting like a spoiled brat and said he wasn't going to let my bad mood ruin the trip. We exchanged some heated words, and he stormed out, yelling that I could order my dinner through Uber Eats with his credit card. So I did exactly that. Now, here I am, feeling really bad about it. I've turned to the internet for opinions on this whole situation. Do I have the right to be upset with my dad? I mean, he never mentioned that my stepmom and stepsisters were coming. I'm starting to wonder if my dad even wants me here.